Today, the Holy Family passes through homes. If you desire peace in your home, healing in your family, and protection for the new year, there are 3 gestures heaven is waiting for from you today. This is one of those rare moments when heaven leans so close to earth you can almost feel the breath of God on your face. It's as if he's looking straight into your living room, your kitchen, your bedroom, seeing what's broken, what hurts, what's been swept under the rug, and saying, "I see it all, and I'm here." The Holy Family, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. They're not just statues gathering dust in a church. They're the blueprint, the real-life example of what a family can be when God is at the center. And here's what most people miss. They lived through what you're living through right now. They knew what it felt like when money was tight. They knew what it felt like to be misunderstood by neighbors, criticized by family, judged by people who should have known better. They knew fear, uncertainty, sleepless nights. That simple house in Nazareth. It wasn't perfect, it was real, just like yours. And this day carries something most people completely overlook. Father Pio, a man who spent his entire life battling spiritual darkness and experiencing miracles, he taught that certain days open doors in the spiritual realm that are usually locked tight. The Day of the Holy Family is one of them. If you believe the Holy Family can transform your home, write in the comments, "Holy Family, protect my home." Don't skip this. Your words create an opening. Listen to me. Father Pio revealed 3 simple actions, 3 spiritual moves, that if you make them on this day, can shift everything in your home. Healing, protection, peace, real, tangible grace. These aren't complicated rituals. You don't need special training. You don't need hours. You just need 5 minutes and a willing heart. But here's the catch. This window doesn't stay open forever. The Day of the Holy Family holds a unique blessing, and what I'm about to share could be exactly what your family has been desperate for without even knowing it. So stay with me. What you're about to hear isn't theory, it's transformation, and your home is worth it. Let's get real for a second. Family life is hard. Nobody's out here living in a perfect sitcom where everything wraps up nicely in 30 minutes. If someone tells you their family has it all together, they're either lying or they're not paying attention. Every family has tension. Every family has wounds. Every family has that one thing nobody talks about but everybody feels. Maybe it's the argument that keeps repeating itself. Maybe it's the sibling who doesn't call anymore. Maybe it's just the daily grind wearing everyone down until you're all just going through the motions, barely holding it together. You look around your own house sometimes and wonder, how did we get here? When did things get so heavy? Here's what you need to know. You're not alone. And the Holy Family? They get it, they really do. We have this tendency to put Jesus, Mary, and Joseph so high on a pedestal that we forget they were flesh and blood. They weren't gliding around in some heavenly bubble. Joseph had calloused hands from carpentry work. He dealt with difficult customers, tight deadlines, the constant pressure to provide. Mary managed a household when that meant actual survival, hauling water, grinding grain, making every single thing from scratch. And Jesus grew up watching it all, learning what it meant to be human in a world that doesn't make things easy. The flight to Egypt? That wasn't an adventure. That was terror in the middle of the night, grabbing a baby and running from a king who wanted him dead. Imagine that level of fear, that kind of pressure. So when you're drowning in bills, when your kids won't listen, when your spouse feels like a stranger, when your extended family is a minefield of old grudges, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph understand. They've walked that road. They know what it's like. And that's exactly why this day is so powerful. Father Pio used to say that the Holy Family doesn't just visit homes, they dwell in them. But only when they're invited. Only when we crack open the door and say, "Come in, we're a mess, but we need you." When they come in, things change, not always overnight, not always the way we expect, but they change. I've heard from people who did what I'm about to share with you. One woman told me, "The fighting just stopped. I can't explain it." Another said, My son, who hadn't called me in a year, texted me out of nowhere. These aren't coincidences. This is grace doing what we can't. The atmosphere of a home is real. You feel it the second you walk in. Some homes feel warm, safe, like you can exhale. Others feel like you're stepping into a cold war zone. That atmosphere doesn't happen by accident. It's shaped by what's allowed in and what's kept out. When you invite the Holy Family into your home, you're making a spiritual declaration. You're saying, I want what you had in Nazareth, the love, the patience, the faith, the unity. I want the peace that comes when God is at the center. Father Pio taught that when a family truly opens itself to the Holy Family, heaven responds. Angels take notice. Darkness loses its grip. What seemed impossible starts cracking open. Let me walk you through the 3 things you need to do. The first thing you need to do is consecrate your family to the Holy Family. And I know that word sounds churchy and complicated, but it's actually the simplest thing in the world. To consecrate means to hand over, to dedicate, to say, this belongs to you now. Think of it like this. You know when your car breaks down and you try fixing it yourself with YouTube videos and borrowed tools, but you're just making it worse. Eventually you call a mechanic and say, here, you take it, I can't do this. That's consecration. You're calling in the experts. You're saying, Holy Family, you know how to make a home work. You know how to bring peace where there's chaos, love where there's distance, healing where there's pain. I'm done trying to control everything. It's yours. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need fancy words. You don't need a priest. You can stand in your kitchen right now and say, Holy Family, I consecrate my home and my family to you. That's it. Those words crack open a door in the spiritual realm you didn't even know existed. Father Pio taught that when a family is consecrated to the Holy Family, angels feel at home there. Peace lingers. Arguments lose their bite. Grace finds room to move. It's like giving heaven a master key to every room in your house, including the ones you've kept locked. Let me tell you about something that happened. A woman in our community reached out a while back. Her marriage was hanging by a thread. She and her husband were roommates at best, enemies at worst. They hadn't had a real conversation in weeks. Everything was just ice cold. On the day of the Holy Family, she did this simple act. She didn't tell her husband. She went into her room, got on her knees and said, Holy Family, I give you my marriage. I can't fix this. Please do what I can't. 3 days later, her husband came to her and said, I don't want to keep living like this. We need to talk. They talked. They cried. They started rebuilding. She told me, I know it was because I finally let go and let them in. That's what consecration does. It breaks gridlock. It creates movement where everything was stuck. And listen, maybe your family is scattered. Maybe you live alone. Maybe there are people you haven't spoken to in years. Doesn't matter. You can still consecrate. You can say, Holy Family, I consecrate everyone connected to me, my parents, my siblings, my kids, my spouse, even the relationships that are broken. I place them all in your hands. Distance doesn't limit God. Walls don't stop grace. When you consecrate, you're making a commitment. You're saying, from this moment forward, this home belongs to you. And when the Holy Family takes ownership of something, they protect it. They transform it. They never abandon it. If this message is touching your heart, don't let this grace end here. Discover the ebook, The Spiritual Secrets of St. Padre Pio. This resource was created for those who want to deepen their faith and walk closer to God, inspired by the teachings of one of the most beloved and mystical saints of our time. Inside, you'll find powerful prayers, profound reflections, and practical guidance to live Padre Pio's spirituality in your daily life. You'll also discover real stories of miracles and conversions that strengthen faith, restore hope, and bring peace to the heart. Padre Pio taught that a faith lived with sincerity can transform everything. This ebook is an invitation for you to take a concrete step in your spiritual life. The link to access it is pinned in the comments. Now, the second thing you need to do, and this one cuts deep, you need to ask for healing for the wounds in your home. Every family has wounds, hidden ones, old ones, fresh ones, some so deep people don't even acknowledge them anymore. They just live around them like furniture nobody wants to move. Maybe it was something said in anger that's never been apologized for, a betrayal that shattered trust, a loss the family never grieved together, resentment that's been piling up for years, layer after layer, until it feels like there's a concrete wall between people who used to be close. These wounds don't just hurt the people involved. They poison everything. The whole atmosphere turns toxic. Kids feel it even when nothing's said. Conversations become minefields. People start walking on eggshells in their own home. Here's the brutal truth. Some wounds are too deep for words to fix. Some pain runs too far down. You can't just decide to get over it and make it happen. You need help from something beyond what human strength can do. That's where the Holy Family comes in. Joseph knew anxiety, the kind that keeps you up at night, wondering if you're doing enough. Mary knew fear, the kind that makes your hands shake when you think about what could happen to someone you love. Jesus knew rejection, abandonment, and pain that would shatter any of us into pieces. They understand what it's like when your heart is broken, when someone you trusted hurts you, when you're carrying burdens that feel impossible to put down. On this day, bring all of it before them. Close your eyes, say it out loud if you can, whisper it if you can't, but mean it. Holy Family, heal the wounds in my home. Name them if you're able. Heal the distance between me and my daughter. Heal the bitterness between me and my brother. Heal the pain from what happened that we've never talked about. Heal the part of me that's still angry, the part that's still afraid. Healing doesn't always mean the other person changes. Sometimes it means you find peace, even when nothing around you changes. Sometimes it means you can finally let go of something you've been dragging around for years. Sometimes it means you're able to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. Padre Pio used to tell people God heals what is placed before him, not what we hide. That's powerful. We bury our pain. We pretend it doesn't exist. We put on a brave face and keep moving. But healing can't happen in the dark. It happens when we bring things into the light and say, this is real, this happened, and I need help. The day of the Holy Family is when the spiritual doors are wide open. This is when heaven is listening with particular attention. This is when grace flows like a river. The healing might not look like you expect. Maybe the person who hurt you will never apologize. Maybe the situation will never be what you hoped, but God can heal your heart anyway. He can give you peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. He can restore joy even in the middle of broken things. Ask for that healing today. Your heart deserves to be free. The wounds in your home deserve attention, and the Holy Family is ready to help. The third thing you must do on the day of the Holy Family is ask for protection over your home. Real protection. The kind that guards against things you can't see with your eyes, but can absolutely feel in your gut. There are forces at work in this world that want families destroyed. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm being honest. There are influences that slip into homes like smoke under a door and steal peace, constant arguing over nothing, unexplainable irritability where everyone's on edge, exhaustion that doesn't match the workload, sadness that settles over the house like a heavy blanket and won't lift. Not everything has a logical explanation. Sometimes there's a spiritual battle happening that you're completely unaware of. And that's exactly why we need protection. Joseph was a protector. That was his entire role. He protected Mary when she was vulnerable. He protected Jesus when Herod wanted him dead. He made hard calls, took bold action, stayed alert. Mary protected too, with her prayers, her presence, her fierce faith. And Jesus, he's been protecting all of us from the moment we drew our first breath. When you ask the Holy Family to protect your home, you're inviting that same vigilance into your life. You're saying, guard our doors, guard our hearts, guard our minds, guard our peace. This isn't superstition. This is spiritual warfare, and it's as real as the ground you're standing on. Father Pio knew this better than most. He dealt with demonic attacks his entire life. He understood that our homes are battlegrounds and we need heaven's protection to stand strong. Say this with intention today. Holy Family, protect my home. Guard our comings and goings. Keep away everything that seeks to harm us, confuse us, or pull us away from God. When you make this request on the day of the Holy Family, you're sealing the spiritual atmosphere of your home. You're putting up a shield. Protection isn't a one-time thing, it's ongoing. But this day carries a special grace that reinforces that protection for the entire year ahead. Think of it like locking your doors at night. You wouldn't leave your house wide open when you go to bed, right? The spiritual realm works the same way. You need to lock the doors to negativity, chaos, fear, and darkness, and keep them locked. When the Holy Family protects a home, angels stand guard, peace settles in, conflicts lose their grip, the enemy loses ground, and your family has room to breathe, to heal, to actually live. Father Pio taught that homes under the protection of the Holy Family are places where grace flows freely, where prayer has power, where love can grow. Don't underestimate what this simple act can do. It changes everything. So here's where it all comes together. 3 simple actions. Consecrate your family, ask for healing, request protection. Each one is powerful alone. But when you do all 3, that's when something extraordinary happens. These aren't separate prayers. They're a threefold chord. Consecration opens the door. Healing clears out what's blocking grace. Protection seals everything so nothing can undo the work God is doing. When you consecrate, you invite the Holy Family to take residence. When you ask for healing, you let them do surgery on the wounds that have been festering. When you request protection, you give them permission to stand guard over everything you hold dear. This isn't magic, it's not instant. Real transformation rarely is, but things shift. Maybe not today, maybe not this week, but slowly, steadily, things change. You might notice conversations feel lighter. Arguments that used to spiral somehow don't anymore. A relationship that felt frozen starts to thaw. Peace becomes more than just a word. It becomes something you feel when you walk through your front door. Father Pio used to say the Holy Family doesn't just visit. They dwell when they're truly welcomed. Dwelling means staying, making themselves at home, becoming part of the fabric of your daily life. That's what this day offers. Not a quick fix, but a foundation. Not a temporary feeling, but lasting transformation. The Holy Family wants to stay. They want to be part of your story. They want to walk with you through every challenge, every joy, every ordinary Tuesday, every difficult conversation, every moment of doubt, every celebration. All they need is your invitation. All they need is your willingness to open the door and say, "Come in, stay, make this place yours." So here we are, 3 simple actions that can transform your home. Consecrate, heal, protect. This isn't about religion for religion's sake. This is about opening your life to the very people who lived what you're living, who understand your struggles, and who have the power to help. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph aren't distant figures looking down from heaven with judgment. They're a family who knows what it's like to be afraid, to be uncertain, to wonder how things are going to work out. And they're reaching out to you right now. Father Pio spent his entire life teaching people that heaven is closer than we think, that miracles aren't reserved for saints. They're available to anyone willing to ask, to believe, to open the door. He saw countless families transformed by the simple act of inviting the Holy Family in. Homes that were war zones became sanctuaries. Relationships that seemed dead came back to life. Children who were lost found their way home. This can be your story too, but you have to take the step. You have to make the invitation. Today, on this day of the Holy Family, let Jesus, Mary, and Joseph walk through your door. Let them bring light where there's confusion. Let them bring healing where there's pain. Let them bring protection over everything and everyone you love. If these teachings touched your heart, write "Thank you, Padre Pio" in the comments. Your words aren't just for me, they help this message reach other families who desperately need it. Someone out there is holding on by a thread, and your comment might be what pushes this video in front of them at exactly the right moment. Share this video. Send it to someone who needs hope right now, a friend who's struggling, a family member who's hurting, someone who doesn't even know they're looking for this message, but will recognize it the second they hear it. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to learn more about the spiritual wisdom Father Pio left for us, check out the ebook in the comments. It's filled with prayers, stories, and practical guidance that can strengthen your faith and transform your daily life. The Holy Family doesn't just visit, they stay when they're welcomed. Welcome them today. Open the door. Let them in and watch what God does with a willing heart. Brothers and sisters, we're building something sacred here, a community rooted in faith, united by hope, strengthened by the wisdom of Padre Pio. Every like, every share, every subscription helps us reach families who are drowning and don't know where to turn. If this message blessed you, hit that like button. It sounds small, but it tells the algorithm to show this video to more people. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss these teachings. Share this with someone who needs encouragement today, your mother, your sister, your friend who's going through hell right now. Consider becoming a member of our community. Your support allows us to keep creating content that brings light into homes and hearts that desperately need it. We're not just making videos, we're participating in a mission to strengthen families, to deepen faith, to keep Father Pio's legacy alive in a world that's forgetting how to pray. Together, we're stronger. Together, we're making a difference. May the Holy Family bless you, protect you, and walk with you always.